All right, everyone, we're going to bring our February 16th, 2023 Ascension Parish Council meeting to order. Roll call, Madam Secretary. I believe Mr. Robert and Mr. Lawler. What you looking at? Mr. Robert and Mr. Lawler are absent. Chair's additions, the chair has none tonight. Public comment sign-in period. If anyone would like to
Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry. Coach, please lead us in invocation and pledge. I apologize.
Sorry.
Let's bow our heads, please. Most gracious and honorable Father, we come, Lord, once again to truly say we thank you for the many blessings you bestowed upon each of us. We thank you, Lord, for the love that you've shown us. We ask, Lord, that you continue to guide this parish of Ascension. And I pray at this hour, Lord, that you bless each and every person under the sound of my voice. And, Lord God, as we leave this place tonight, I ask, Lord, that you allow each of us to get home safe to our families. In your name we pray. And we all say it, amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item number 4, public comment sign-in period. If anybody would like to speak on any of our agenda items, please come see Ms. McKee over here, and she'll give you a card to fill out. Oh.
You want to run the whole meeting? So,
They fixed it.
oh, they fixed it?
Yeah.
We switched the
They
names.
switched it.
Yep.
Your name was over here, Coach. They switched it for you.
Who fought that for us?
That was Cinnamon's fault.
I was see you.
All right. Agenda item number 5, the parish president's report. Mr. President, before I go to you, Coach has asked if he could have a quick little minute. He's got something he wants to discuss.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Chairman. I would like to have Mr. Dustin Clurat to come up and allow himself to explain the project that we're having on the West Bank in Ascension. And I can, before you say anything, I want to thank you before anything been said. Thank you for the help. Thank you for the consideration.
No problem,
Consider
Coach.
the West Bank.
It started with you reaching out to us, so
Yes, sir.
appreciate you reaching out. Coach called on us about doing a cleanup day on the West Bank. We had circulated email a while back about reaching out to y'all about doing something in your district, especially because y'all have intimate knowledge of where some issue or problem, I hate to say problem areas, of where some issues may be. So Coach called on us. We've been working on this for a couple weeks. March 4th, Saturday, it's actually Friday night, we're going to put dumpsters out at the locations, and I'm not sure, do you guys have a copy of that PDF? Chase, did you
No.
get it circled through or not?
No.
Look,
Came
I'll
to the
just,
phone.
here's a, we're basically going to put unmanned dumpsters for the weekend of March 4th at Modest Park, Lemonville Park, McCall, Palo Fire Department, A. Bend Community Park, and Mount Olive Church at River Road, where they've done some before. Coach got in touch with these guys with all these locations. These were kind of we spread out over the West Bank, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to try this and see if it works. And if we're going to do it, we'll just move on to whatever district wants to do it next. So, Coach, appreciate you
Yeah,
again.
the reason I give the outer areas, the city of Downsonville have trash pickup. The outer areas of Ascension, West Ascension, do not have trash pickup.
Well, they have trash pickup. They just don't have the franchise trash
Truck-
pickup.
The truck for it, the
Yes,
truck
sir.
coming out, yeah.
Yes.
So we want to thank you, appreciate the assistance.
No, thank you so much, and again, we look forward to it. So, I think we'll get with the administration about possibly advertising this, however they can. So, on Channel 21, on Facebook, we'll share it and we'll do all that. So we'll get it out to the folks. We'll also place flyers all over, and Downsonville and Coach, you help spread the word too, so thank y'all.
Also, if you don't mind,
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
those of us that would like to participate would come out Saturday, March 4th, if you can, if you're not so busy, to come and help us out with the cleanup.
And pretty much we'll be taking anything but hazardous waste or anything hazardous and tires. We can't take tires, so. But anybody that's looking to get rid of tires, the parish has the recycling center on Church Point and one soon to be on the West Bank where they can take 5 tires a day from a private citizen, so. A little fun fact for y'all. Thank y'all.
You mind? Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Mr. President, I just, I don't know if you have it in your report or not, but I won't be but a second. We had this, about 8 to 10 covers, 48-cent covers that we've been looking for quite some time on Catawba Street near the Denby Funeral Home that will be putting in, and that would alleviate a great amount of water that's been setting in that area. And we've been we've been having trouble in that area for quite some time. And 48-inch pipes have just arrived, and the parish will be putting it in. Also, the other situation we have that's going well is the lighting in DeVille Village. That's going pretty good. The start on it, Ms. Root, we appreciate them. That started pretty good. Also, Crescent Place, I should say, is another area that we'll be lighting up the area. And let us not forget our 11 and 12-year-old boys in recreation having a tournament this weekend at the Lemon Center in West Ascension and Donaldsonville. So thank you all. I appreciate it, your help, and appreciate your prayers. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Coach. Mr. President.
Thank you, Chair. And certainly, thank Trash Rangers, and we'll try to get the word out and do some kind of public awareness of that trash pickup on the West Bank so we can try to get as many citizens as well as parish employees involved in that. It would be a great event. We have a pretty lengthy agenda with that presentation. Just like to wish everybody and our staff and our residents a happy Mardi Gras and remind that everyone that our offices will be closed on Tuesday for the holiday, so we will not be open. That concludes my report, Chair. Thank you.
All right, on to item number 6, the consent agenda. Ms. Simmons, please note that Mr. Lawler is now present.
Adoption of January 5th, 2023 regular council meeting minutes. Adoption of January 19th, 2023 regular council meeting minutes. Approval of the cooperative endeavor agreement with the Ascension Parish 4-H District Livestock Show to be held on February 2nd through the 4th, 2023 to provide funding in the amount of $10,000. Approval to impose no penalty for the noncompliance of contract 201903555A ITE-CF Industries. Approval of March 1st property and casualty insurance renewal by Hughes Insurance. Approval of amendment number 2 to the agreement for autopsy and autopsy forensic services to increase the total amount per autopsy by an additional $50 for one decedent from $1,850 to $1,900, and 2 to 4 decedents from $1,500 to $1,550. Approval of the subrecipient agreement between Ascension Parish Government and Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District for the Bayou Lafourche Pump Station Project. Approval of the cooperative endeavor agreement between the Parish of Ascension Chamber of Commerce, whereby the parish will utilize $100,000 received in the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund to cover the cost for the initial research phase of the Chamber's Clean Energy Carbon Capture Advocacy Program. Approval of agreement with ESRI Small Municipal and County Government Enterprise Agreement Licensed Software GIS for a 3-year term of $103,523.40 annually. Approval of amendment number 2 to the professional services contract with corporate mechanical contractors for an additional $3,887.40 for the 2022 calendar year for maintenance and emergency repair work on chillers, all air conditioning and heating at the Lamar-Dixon Expo Center. Approval of amendment number 1 to the general staffing agreement with Capital City Staffing doing business as Amon Staffing for nursing staff at the Ascension Parish Jail in the amount of $50,000 for a total contract amount of $99,500. Approval of the Professional Selection Committee's recommendation to select the highest scoring respondent, Big Events LLC, for the RFP Lamar Dixon Expo Center Food Service Operations. Approval of the Professional Selection Committee's recommendation to select the highest scoring respondent, Corporate Mechanical Contractors, for the RFP Lamar Dixon Expo Center HVAC Preventative Maintenance Services. Approval of Certificate of Substantial Completion, Davy Shoring, Inc., WB Courthouse Stabilization, PM 1903004. Approval of Amendment Number 1 to the Master Services Agreement with Doyle Electric, Inc. for street lighting repair in Deville Village subdivision to increase the contract amount for additional services discovered to be needed after testing of cables in the amount of $12,600 for a total contract amount of $78,300. Approval of the Amendment Number 2 to the master contract for professional engineering services with McKim and Creed, Manchac Acres at Muddy Creek Bridge replacement for additional compensation of $33,200.93, and to extend the contract term through February 15, 2023. Total contract amount of $116,300.93. Approval of Amendment Number 1 to the Joint Intergovernmental Agreement and Cooperative Endeavor Agreement to implement the Adult Drug Intervention Program with District Attorney Ricky Babin to increase the amount for 2022 by an additional $2,870 for a total agreement amount of $92,770. Approval of renewal of the Joint Intergovernmental Agreement and Cooperative Endeavor to implement the Adult Drug Intervention Program for the 2023 calendar year, District Attorney Ricky Babin, total agreement amount $89,900. Approval of intergovernmental agreement between the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office and the Parish of Ascension for the use of parish-owned 13-passenger bus to transport the litter team. Approval of Amendment Number 1 to the Professional Services Agreement Rebecca Bombay, PMHNPBC, at the Ascension Counseling Center to extend the original contract term through July 1st, 2023. This amendment extends the contract term only and does not affect the contract price. Approval of Amendment Number 2 to the Professional Services Agreement J. Robert Barnes, MD, psychiatrist at the Ascension Counseling Center to extend the original contract term through July 1st, 2023. This amendment extends the contract term only and does not affect the contract price. Approval of Amendment Number 4 to the Professional Services Agreement Magnolia Service Group, LLC, for services at the Ascension Counseling Center to extend the original contract term through July 1st, 2023, with an additional amount of $20,000 for a new total contract amount of $90,999. Approval of Amendment Number 1 to Cooperative Endeavor Agreement for maintenance and upkeep of the jail by Ascension Parish Sheriff Bobby Weber.
All right, at this time, would anyone like to remove an item from the consent agenda for further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Casso.
Yes, I'd like to remove item W, which is the approval of an amendment for the CEA with the sheriff and the jail. The sheriff has actually asked that be pulled, and to consider a proposed amendment that he would like to see. I think it's just a slight language change.
Gotcha, okay. All right, we will move 6W. We will make that 7A1. So that will be on top of the current 7A. So it'll be the next item on the agenda.
Okay.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda as amended. We have a motion by Mr. Mason, a second by Mr. Cagnolati. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. All right, item 7A1, this is the approval amendment number 1 to Cooperative Endeavor Agreement for maintenance and upkeep of the jail by Ascension Parish Sheriff Bobby Weber. And I'm going to refer to Mr. Goldsmith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After we met at Finance, the sheriff contacted us. He was fine with all the amendments that were included in that approval, but he asked for a couple extra things, and we met with the staff, and they're pretty simple. If you look at 101D, where it says the annual budget will be dispensed, he just asked us to put operating budget and separate the operating from the capital. He was fine with the operating budget being dispensed over the quarters. Then we add a sentence at the end of D that says the annual capital budget will be dispensed by the parish to the sheriff on January 1st. And they realized that with capital projects, they might all need to be paid in the first half of the year. So giving them the money on January 1st allows them to do a little bit more flexibility in contracting to get those capital projects done instead of dividing it over 4 and then not having the money until the end of the year. The only other thing they asked for is in section 1.04, where it says any funds unspent by the sheriff go into the construction fund. They wanted any funds unencumbered, and that makes sense as well, because if they're contracting and they've obligated through a contract for a project, you wouldn't want those funds then to go into a separate fund that can't be spent by the sheriff without approval of the council. So at the end of the year, if they say we have contractors that are obligating some of these projects, then those funds will be excluded from being moved. So it's purely financial, mechanical, and it helps them with their financial flexibility.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Goldsmith?
I'll make a motion, sir, that we approve it as amended.
Okay. I have a motion by Ms. Casso and a second by Mr. Robert to approve the contract as amended with the proposed amendments from Sheriff Weber. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. Item 7A, approval of resolution for the transfer of state roads LA 3140, LA 944, and LA 75 with the road transfer credits applied to the purchase of right-of-way for LA 3127 extension. Ms. Turo, how are you?
Doing good. How are y'all?
Hey, can you just give us a brief overview on the, so looking through it, so it states that some of the road is kind of in rough shape, but we're getting a little bit north of $4 million in credits. Is that normally how we do our state transfers?
Yeah, DOTD comes up with the amounts per mile, and I do have a sheet. I think it was available during the finance committee, but I can, put that screen up that shows the dollar amount that they assessed for each one of those 3 segments. And each one of them is different in that LA 3140 is the short segment that the state owns that actually goes to our pumps. It also goes to a couple of pipeline locations also, but it's not residential. It's not in very good shape. If it was on a public roadway that went to houses and all that, but it's perfectly fine for us to go to the pumps and all that. So in that case, I chose for us to accept that road as is. It's easy for us to maintain it. Our parish forces can easily maintain this road. And what I'm getting at is that I think it's wise for us to accept it in the condition that it is, because we get more money if we accept it as is. So that's why, that one's taken that way. One of the other roads that we will be taking on is LA 944. That road is actually in good shape. So we're going to accept it as is, except for there's some cross drains that are metal cross drains, and they are, that's in a heavy cane field area. So those metal cross drains are eaten up. So DOTD, before they give it to us, they're going to replace those cross drains with either box culverts or concrete pipes. And then the last one is LA 75, which is River Road, from LA 22 to LA 942. That one they're going to totally redo. It gets a lot of heavy truck traffic, so before we accept it, they're going to totally redo it and beef it up to where it can handle that heavier road traffic. So with all of those, I guess, willingnesses to accept, DOTD comes up with the money amount based on all those factors, whether we take it as is or with some improvements.
All right, we got a motion by Mr. Lambert, a second by Mr. Mason. I do have a question from Mr. Robert.
My only question was concerning the first road that you said the improvements that we would make on it. We're better off taking it before we do that to get the money. Obviously, the amount of money that it would take to repair this is going to be less than that money
Yeah, it's going to be, it's easy for us to repair it because it's,
I guess what I'm getting at is I don't want to take it as it is to get the money to repair it and then not have it repaired to the standard that it should be.
well, it'll be on us to repair it with our own funds. But it's not in bad shape now for the purpose that it serves. It doesn't go to any house. It just goes to our Marvin Bro pumping station and then a couple of pipeline companies.
Yeah.
So it's considered poor if you would have a passenger car traffic on it, but it's great condition for a
Good deal.
commercial.
All right, thank you. That's all.
Thanks.
Ms. Casso.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joel, I was down that road just the other day, went and made that trip. It's not bad. It's in pretty doggone good shape considering what, the kind of weather we get around here. But it looks good. Joey, I just wanted to thank you for your work to bring these opportunities for road transfer. I thank the administration for being open to it. We know, you were telling us long before you were a member of our team, that this program was going to go away one day, and we're going to get these roads anyway. And so I encourage all of this council and the administration, any opportunity to work with the state to have them bring this road up to standard, and then we can take it. I think it would be meaningful for our citizens in the future whenever the state just says we can't do this anymore. All those roads except these 5 major highways in the parish are yours. I think we're wise to get that done. So thank you for the effort that you put forth in that.
That was administration's decision, and I think it was a good decision. I agree.
Thank you.
All right, we got a motion by Mr. Lambert, a second by Mr. Mason. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. Thank you, Mr. Joey. Item 7B is approval of resolution for condition 3 of the agreement, which is the exchange of miles for LA 3127 extension becoming a state route. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Joey on this?
Motion.
All right, we got a motion by Coach, a second by Ms. Casso. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. Item 7C, zoning review ID 3051.23, Lot A, formerly a portion of the Chester Center Mall property for Ravindra S. Broer, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, located on the north side of LA 42, approximately 150 foot east of Billy Boulevard, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from mixed use 2 to crossroads commercial. The recommendation from the zoning commission was to deny the rezone request. Do we have anyone here to speak on this item?
Second.
Let me see. So you have a motion to accept the recommendation of denial? Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Lambert and a second by Mr. Mason to uphold the zoning committee's decision to deny. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. Item 8A, general business, approval of purchase agreement to purchase property in the amount of $550,000 located at 12472 North Burnside Avenue for the animal shelter. Let me see. So we've had some discussions about this, and I believe as of right now, we would like to kind of punt on this, send this back to the Animal Services Board. Is that right, Ms. Phillips?
Yes, that is correct.
I'll make a motion to send it back to Animal Services.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Mason to refer this back to the Animal Services Board.
Oh, we're gonna have instructions to them?
I'll send it back to them because there were some people who spoke out against it, so we wanted to give the administration and the Animal Services Board the opportunity to do their presentation. So I want to give them the opportunity, to meet with the constituents that have the concerns about the animal shelter going in that place. So have a meet with them, have a talk with them, listen to their concerns and see if they can be addressed, and then let the Animal Services Board kind of decide what they want to do from there. That's what we have them to do.
So have administration meet with the residents and give them a presentation on what the actual shelter will consist of.
Yes, so we already have put out tentatively for February 28th
to do a public information meeting for anyone concerned about the animal shelter. We'll have Mike from Animal Shelters of America, who did the conceptual plan there, to walk through the entire plan, which it is still conceptual, so design changes are very easy to be made. No engineering or architectural services have been done at this point. And then also to discuss all the mitigation factors to reduce noise, smells, things of that nature, address any concerns. And that way the Animal Services Board can get that feedback and then have a better idea how to move forward, bring it back to the full council. And we'll have him at that meeting as well for you all. So that way you can have the information from the residents, the Animal Services Board, our expert on the animal shelter, and that way you can make an informed decision on the best path forward for the parish.
Gotcha. Okay, Mr. Cagnolati, you question?
Did you get a motion in a second?
I got a motion from Mr. Mason to refer this to the animal shelter, so administration can have the meeting with the residents. I have not got a second.
I'd like to offer a substitute motion, Mr. Chairman.
You were first, Kay.
I'm going to propose a substitute motion.
Okay.
I've heard from a number of constituents. As it turns out, this project is in my district, and I wasn't aware of it until yesterday morning. But I've gotten a lot of phone calls and 2 very stern emails from constituents. So my proposed amendment, well, I should say a substitute motion, is that we refer this back to the Animal Services Board and ask them to propose a different location altogether.
All right, we have a substitute motion from Mr. Cagnolati to refer to the Animal Services Board to look for an entire different location.
And I'm just representing my people.
Gotcha.
Second that for a little more discussion.
Okay, I do have a second from Mr. Lambert on that substitute motion, and Mr. Lambert.
Yeah. How many sites did we look at, or is this the only site we've?
We have looked at sites for 3 years, and every single one of them have failed for various reasons. The number one is probably price. We can't afford it. We also, well, we might get an appraisal for a property. The parish is only allowed to pay 10% over asking of the appraised value.
Right.
And properties are selling significantly higher than that. We are, in a buyer, in the seller's market. We have exhausted options for this animal shelter. And I would strongly consider allowing us to have the public information meeting so that everyone can get fully informed before taking this entire property out of consideration. I'm just asking for the opportunity to inform everyone what is and is not true, what's available, and then when everybody has that, you can vote it down if you still don't think it's the right spot for a shelter, but I hate to take it completely off the table because I don't have any more options left at this point, and it may be years that we are now waiting for another location.
Well, I guess with that, the zoning on the other pieces that y'all were looking at, was the property zone correct, or is that another problem that we're dealing with?
That is another problem we've had on other properties. This property is zoned for an animal shelter, which means today, that owner could build an animal shelter. They have every right to do that, and there is nothing that the parish can do to stop that from happening. They do have right of use of that property.
I'm gonna withdraw my second. Let's see if we can meet this with the residents and see what's gonna happen from there, but we've been dealing with this long enough. We've got to, some way or another, we have to move this forward, and let's face it, it's limited space we have left to do just about anything, so I'm just gonna withdraw my second to let them at least get the public information out.
Okay, let's see, we still have some more people wanting to comment. Mr. Lawler.
Yeah, we should have had the meetings before we brought it to the council. For transparency's sake, those meetings should have been held well before this. So I guess my concern is that property is a prime commercial real estate property that for the benefits of Ascension Parish as a whole, the revenue that we'd be losing long-term by putting it on prime residential, on commercial property is pretty significant. when you talk about maximum use of land, that is right across almost from Lowe's, it's next to Community Steel. That area is going to continue to blossom, especially as we're going to do road work, significant road work in that area, which is going to increase the value of that property, meaning that we're going to lose significant long-term tax benefits if we use that. If you look around the nation, most animal shelters are not located on prime commercial property for just that reason. That's one of the main reasons, is because it's just not a wise use of the land. I really think we should go out and look at some other areas that we're not losing revenue long-term, and frankly, we're going to be putting something on there that's going to be costing us revenue long-term. So I'd rather us go out and look for some other property throughout the parish. It doesn't have to be on a major highway. Most animal shelters aren't. I don't think Japonica Street, if anybody remembers that, SPCA on Japonica, is on a major highway. So I really do think we should start looking elsewhere for it.
All right, Mr. Robert.
I will support sending it back to the animal board and allowing them to bring this back to us. But I do want to reiterate what we've heard from fellow councilmen tonight. But I want to bring up a few of the points that were brought up. One of the most recent was by Councilman Lawler. It's a prime commercial spot. Okay, so when you're getting prime commercial property, you're going to pay prime commercial price for that property. So you have to really consider the market and the topography of this parish. Because, we're looking at right there by Lowe's, okay? And then someone else, okay, we're right there at Lowe's, but I wanted to point out before that, the study that we have from the professionals say that it needs to be in a high traffic area. I feel like that may have gotten interpreted in a different way than I see it. I don't see high traffic area meaning like businesses and residents and commercial around at all. High traffic area can be a mile away from Lowe's right there. The way Ascension Parish is, we have got so much vacant property in spurts. I know for a fact, going 3 miles both ways from Lowe's. I know of one piece of property right now that, regardless, there's property cheaper in just as high of a traffic area on these same major highways and byways that aren't all the way around these people. Mitigation. The good thing about doing that is you don't have to mitigate the noise and the smell from what you have there already. Because if you had the animal shelter there first, people know what they're building around. Of course, you'll still do mitigation for the noise and the smell and do everything you can, but don't put it right in the middle of people. And as far as buying and as far as the market right now, we're actually in a pretty good spot for buyers because the interest rates are so high. There's a lot of stuff selling that people can't get financing for. So, there's a lot more on the market. I've seen that a lot in the last couple of years. We've taken advantage of a lot of that in the last few years. I think the parish could also do that. With that said, ultimately, y'all bring it back. Y'all spend your time defending that spot or, possibly even looking a little bit further and considering somewhere else. Thank you.
Mr. Cagnolati.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Adding to what Aaron said, I took these calls and I made some calls myself, and I called 3 parishes, St. Tammany, East Baton Rouge, and Lafayette. And all 3, Baton Rouge has the oldest shelter, and it's north of the airport. St. Tammany's is north of Lacombe, 6 miles, and it is half a mile from anything. And Lafayette's is way out. When I called her, I said, "Where's your animal shelter?" She said, "We're in the boondocks. There's nothing around us." And so I said, "Well, when y'all have like a pet adoption day or a weekend where you're going to encourage people to adopt pets," she said, "Well, when we have it here, we just advertise it, and people who want to adopt pets come here." And I heard that one of the contentions was they wanted to have visibility and accessibility. Well, I understand that. But these other places in St. Tammany, she said, we go to retail pet stores. We go to parks that the parish has, and we host adoption days there. And we advertise them well, and we get a lot of people attracted to those. So this location is questionable in my mind. That's why I made the motion. I'm trying to, like I said, represent my people. Thank you.
Mr. Ogeron.
Thank you, Chair. First, I'll go ahead and second Mr. Cagnolati's amended motion, I guess is what it was. 2 years ago, I was the representative from the council with the animal board, and some of the discussions that we were having at the time were revolving around property the parish already owned. And I know one of those opportunities was at Lamar Dixon. I've never gotten any feedback on the status of looking at that and whether or not we still consider that as an option. Is there a reason why we're not considering using parish-owned property?
Yes. We have an agreement with the Lamar Dixon Foundation on the terms of use of that property, and that is not an acceptable use on that property.
Okay, so that has been confirmed?
Correct.
Okay, well, good deal. Any other parish-owned property that we have?
No, unfortunately, while we do have a lot of parish property, it's little slivers here and there. It's not big enough space to put the shelter on.
Okay.
But that was, as soon as Lamar Dixon was off the table, we immediately looked at the rest of the properties that drainage had, the parish, we searched everything, and unfortunately, none of those are suitable, because that would be far easier than what we've been doing.
Somebody might be able to help me with this. I recall when we made the extension, we built that extension road from Landry to whatever. I nicknamed it the Chase Mellison Speedway because he bragged about being able to use it frequently.
What's that?
That new extension from Landry to...
Everybody's found out about it.
Yeah. So anyways, is there something that we have, wasn't it in the agreement with putting that in place that the parish had some of the property along that? And if that's the case, have we looked at it as an option?
We do not have ownership of that property, and that also would need significant wetland mitigation.
Okay, so it would. Okay, just trying to remember some of the conversations I had with the board 2 years ago, as far as some of the things we were talking about. But thank you for helping. Again, I second Mr. Cagnolati's.
Okay. Mr. Mason.
I'm going to object to the motion, mainly because we have the Animal Services Board to make these decisions, and I don't think it's our job to make that decision right now. I know that we've got new information, and just like any other time we get new information, we send it back to committee. So that's what I think we should be doing, so I'll object.
Okay, so we have a substitute motion by Mr. Cagnolati to refer back to the Animal Services Board and have them look for an entirely new piece of property. That has been seconded by Mr. Ogeron. Ms. Casso, you have a comment.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I've been sitting with the Animal Service Board this year. I will testify to the difficulty that they have had in finding land. I will also tell you that I have long advocated personally that when land is properly zoned, if it's an appropriate use, and it should not be denied, the gentleman should not be denied the opportunity to sell his land. So for that reason, I'm also going to object.
Okay. All right. And, all right, so we have two objections. I'm going to make one quick comment that, we're talking about Lamar Dixon. I was quite surprised to find out that the parish-owned Lamar Dixon has a contract that their board has a say-so what we do there and what we don't do there. I was flabbergasted, so I'll just throw that out there. I think that is absolutely crazy. But, so at this time, we will vote. Yeah. All right, so we have a substitute motion and two objections. The motion is to refer to Animal Services Board for new property. If everyone would please vote. and it passes 7-4. So this item will go back to Animal Services Board to look and, with the instructions to find a totally different property. All right. Item 8B, resolution to receive funding in the amount of $794,758 for costs related to 2020-2021 disasters for commercial districts, community developed block grant hometown revitalization program. We have a motion by Mr. Mason, and I'm a second. Got a second by the chair. Any objection?
Just a question.
Yep.
I would just
Ms. Castro?
appreciate a little bit of elaboration on this, please.
Absolutely. This is nearly $800,000 that's been allocated to the parish, specifically for damage related to hurricanes from 2020 and 2021, Laura, Delta, and Ida. So for us, this relates to Hurricane Ida, and so the federal government has said, look, this money is allocated to you for revitalization, and so the thought is on the West Bank, we know that the Armory, we're trying to do some things with it right now, and this money could actually be used to help add showers, things like that, to make it eligible for a shelter, because during Ida, that was one of the issues, that there wasn't adequate sheltering, so this could be a huge help to the West Bank by adding that and letting that location be an option for a shelter.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Item 9A, introduction of ordinance. A reminder, I just need a motion to introduce. No second is required. Introduction of ordinance to revoke an existing 15-foot drainage servitude located on either side of a 4-foot wide ditch along the western portion of Track B3 of the Theodore Revolt property along Revolt Lane. And this is moved to the council via UDC. We have a motion by Mr. Mason to introduce. Item 10A, reading of an ordinance to revoke existing 10-foot drainage servitude located on either side of 3 ditches along the northern portion of lots CH1A1A and CH1A1B of the Charles E. Hughes property along Front Place Lane. Mr. Kenneth.
Purpose, to revoke existing 10-foot drainage servitudes located on either side of 3 ditches along the northern portion of lot CH1A1A and CH1A1B of the Charles E. Hughes property along Front Place Lane. Property is depicted on the map showing a simple division map showing survey of lot CH1A1 and lot CH1A1B, being a re-subdivision of lot CH1A1, formerly a portion of the Charles E. Hughes property, by James W. Falgout, dated December 5th, 2022, and recorded at instrument number 106-6440. Whereas the petitioner has petitioned the Ascension Parish Council to revoke existing 10-foot drainage servitudes located on either side of 3 ditches along the northern portion of lots CH1A1A and CH1A1B of the Charles E. Hughes property along Front Place Lane. Property is depicted on the map showing a simple division, map showing survey of lot CH1A1A and lot CH1A1B, being the re-subdivision of lot CH1A1, formerly a portion of the Charles E. Hughes property, by James W. Falgout, dated December 5th, 2022, and recorded at instrument number 106-6440. And whereas Planning Department and Engineering Department have reviewed and researched said request and have no objection to the revocation, the Parish of Ascension hereby ordains that it grants approval of the revocation of the existing 10-foot drainage servitudes located on either sides of 3 ditches along the northern portion of lots CH1A1A and CH1A1B of the Charles E. Hughes property along Front Place Lane. Property as depicted on the map showing a simple division, map showing survey of lot CH1A1A and lot CH1A1B, being the re-subdivision of lot CH1A1, formerly a portion of the Charles E. Hughes property, by James W. Falgout, dated December 5th, 2022, and recorded at instrument number 106-6440, attached here to and made a part hereof is Exhibit A. Repeal all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby and henceforth repealed. Severability, if any provision of this ordinance is held to be invalid, such invalidity shall not affect other provisions herein which can be given effect without the invalid provisions, and to this end the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable. Effective date, this ordinance shall become effective 15 days after adoption.
We have a motion to open public hearing by Mr. Robert, a second by Ms. Casso. Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Cagnolati, a second by Ms. Casso. We have a motion to move the ordinance, and Mr. Corey, you got a comment?
Mr. DePatie, your mic was going in and out. Could you repeat that for me? Just kidding. The question I have for you, Kenneth, is each time there's a particular lot that we want to revoke a servitude or do, we have to do it by ordinance.
Correct.
So in the next 10 years, we could add an extra 500 laws to our book of ordinances by having to go this route. Has there been any thoughts or any proposals as to how we could reverse that trend?
No one's asked that question.
What is that?
No one's asked that question.
I just
It hasn't
asked.
been brought up. Yeah, it's something we can research if you actually want an answer to it.
You know, I'm just kind of thinking, as a former attorney, I remember, every year we get the statutes book and it's always increases by a couple of inches. And I can only imagine what we're doing here. So maybe we can do some of that research together. I don't mind helping if you point me in the direction. I've got a little bit of free time these days.
Not a problem. I'll do some research and get with you next week.
Cool, thanks.
Let's see. All right, I believe I had a motion by Mr. Mason. I do not have a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Casso. Any objection? Hearing none. So moved. Item 11, executive session.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Mason, a second by Mr. Lawler. Would everyone please vote to enter executive session? We have a motion to reconvene by Mr. Cagnolati, a second by Ms. Casso.
I'd like to make a motion to validate the previous decision made by our legal counsel to file suit.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by Ms. Casso to authorize legal to continue with the previous suit that was filed.
Second.
We got a second by Mr. Wagasback. Any objection? Hearing none. So moved. We'll move on to 11B, executive session, approval to seek injunction, Ascension Parish government versus Doyle Boudreaux. We have a motion by Mr. Cagnolati, a second by Mr. Wagasback. If everybody could please vote.
And go get your second piece of
We'll pass.
All right, we will enter executive session.
Yes, I did.
All right, Chair will entertain a motion to reconvene. Motion to reconvene by Mr. Mason. Second by Mr. Cagnolati. We are reconvened.
Motion.
Yeah, Mr. Lawler.
I'd like to make a motion to approve legal counsel to seek an injunction in this matter.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Lawler, a second by Mr. Robert. Any objection?
Yes.
Okay, we have one objection.
The Second Amendment provides us the right to keep and bear arms. And I don't believe we should be infringing upon that right for this individual or for as any others. My big fear is that if a community like ours begins taking small steps that are going to limit a person's right to bear their arms and use firearms, that we're just searching to go down a big old rabbit hole that's going to cause a lot of problems and even more extensive infringements upon people's rights. So with that, I have to object to the motion, and I will be voting against the injunction for those reasons.
All right, if everyone could please vote. The yeas have it, 9-2. The motion will pass. And moving on to the final item of the night. We have a motion adjourned by Mr. Ogeron and a second by Mr. Cagnolati. We are adjourned.